Well, hello there. It's the Archivist from tradingcardarchives.com, and I'm here today to open up some wrestling and racing cards with my brother Zack. Welcome, Zack.
Hello, pleasure to be here. If you're calling me in for anything, it's wrestling or racing.
Yeah, and we've
And
got
tonight we
both
got all
today.
of it. Yeah, we
It's
are
gonna
we
be
are ready to
great.
we
So this is
and
not
like
the
a lot
first
of
video we've done
stuff.
together. We've done two or three over the years now, and they're
Hmm.
always like weirdly popular videos. So I'm hoping that this one will be pretty big too, and people will like it. Mostly they love all your stories. You have some crazy stories that you can tell about all of these people. We were talking before about the guys on the front of this cover because this is an older
Hmm.
pack from 2022. But you were saying all three of them are still the big guys, right?
Yeah, there's like a couple other ones who are in there with them, but I mean those three are still. That's like the cover of a video game. I think that is literally the cover of
It
last year's
probably
F1
is. They
video
probably
game
reused the
still.
press
So
shot, sure.
yeah,
Yeah,
probably yes.
yeah. But like
Um,
I've seen, I feel like I've seen all of them in ads, like ads for things
oh,
too.
for sure.
Okay,
I
yeah.
mean, Oracle, pretty the guy on the absolute left, Max Verstappen, Oracle own like hundreds of millions of dollars to that team that he is a part of. So I don't know.
Okay.
I think they use him for advertising a lot, and um, CrowdStrike is really big. I don't know if you're in like tech, who has money to buy a Formula One team? It's pretty much tech companies.
Got it. Yeah, we were good at that kind of thing. And I wanted to show
Hmm.
you this too, because right before we did this video, yeah, I
Ooh.
knew you'd be excited. I was opening Street Fighter cards, and this isn't a super rare card or anything, but M. Bison, of course, kind of a famous
Oh,
character, right?
love him. Love him. That's I think
Yeah,
if anyone here is
you remember the
listening
movie,
or whatever
right?
is, yeah, I was just gonna say I think that Street Fighter 2 the anime just got a 4K release, I want to say, which I will probably pick up because that's I love that. And
Awesome.
yeah, obviously the live action Street Fighter movie is also amazing
Right, with
in a very
Raul
different way,
Julia,
but
the legend,
yeah.
doing
Yep.
Bison perfectly.
There's another podcast I listen to, and they kind of have a bit that they'll do about like if a movie has an in memorandum at the end of it, and you're like, is it are you mad that this was your last movie or not? Like you got your C'est la vie or whatever in Baby Geniuses 2 or something like that. And Raul Julia gets his who's a very famous actor, right?
Of
But he
course,
gets
yeah, yeah,
his goodbye for movies is at the end of Street Fighter the movie.
right. I mean, still not the worst, but I mean, probably
One of
he would think
his
so. But
one of my favorite performances of his. He is elevating that movie in the best of ways. So,
exactly, like every scene he's in just kind of sells that
oh,
character and sells like the whole thing. So yeah, I'll
yeah,
watch that
it's
movie just for him. So
oh
yeah,
yeah,
no problem.
absolutely.
So we're going to open up a bunch of weird stuff today. These are old NASCAR packs that I've had for a long, long time. And you were
Mhm.
telling me that NASCAR is like really doing well these days, and that they sell out every race, and just things are
Oof.
going great for them. Or did I miss?
And I'm not in the boardroom with them, right?
Of
So I
course,
can't say for sure, but
me
just from
neither.
when I was in like the late 90s, early 2000s, NASCAR was, I mean, legit, this is not, I'm not even making this up. Like, legitimately, the Daytona 500 would draw similar numbers to the Super Bowl from a ratings perspective.
I
It was a
remember.
big
Yeah,
deal.
it was a big,
Uh,
huge thing every year. Yeah.
Huge. And now there's a track called Bristol, which was always our kind of the metric you would use to like getting
Sure.
a ticket to Bristol required several people to die and like leave you it in their will. It was
It's
impossible
like
to
a
get a
Green
seat
Bay
to that
Packers
track.
situation. Yeah.
Exactly. Yep,
Yeah.
it is. And nowadays, you could walk into Bristol on day of the race and probably get a seat for $10 if you wanted to.
Okay.
It's very different.
Well, I've got
Um,
these Donruss pack. I've had these packs forever, and what I did is I went in that box and I did something I'd never do. I went in there and I looked for the fat packs, the really
okay.
thick ones, and so these are the two. So I'm hoping that it won't just be a blank. You remember? I don't know if you remember, but sometimes they put these
Oh
in there to like
yeah, they
weigh
put
them
the
down.
stoppers in there to
Yep,
basically trick you from doing what you just did.
exactly.
Hmm.
Precisely. But I got two of them, so we got two chances. So we're gonna see. But also, Josh Berry, is he pretty cool guy?
He is still
Okay. Oh,
racing. I
honestly,
don't. This
okay.
is yeah. He He
And he
was part
looks
of,
cool, like the glasses and stuff.
yeah,
Yeah,
promotional photos are what they are.
sure.
Yeah, he's. I guess I don't even know what era this would. What year are these? Do you know?
2023. So it would have been like the 2022
Oh, okay,
season.
sure,
Yeah.
sure. Yep. His team.
Oh
He was
man.
part of a really big team called. Well, he was. So Dale Earnhardt Sr. Is
I know
a
that
name
name.
that maybe, yeah, it's, if you've heard of a NASCAR driver, that's probably the one, right? And
Yep.
then his son Dale Earnhardt Jr. Raced for a long time, and now he owns a team in their kind of feeder series, which is the Xfinity series, where
Oh
you
geez.
kind of
Okay.
train and
Okay.
practice.
Of course yep.
Uh,
Sure.
yeah,
Of
yeah, it's
course.
not
Yeah.
going
I
to
mean,
be any
all the leagues
more.
have that, right? So it makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
you got to have a AAA basically
Yep.
for talent to come up. And he was part of the junior motorsports program in there, but he left to go to a NASCAR Cup Series, the big times, for a guy called Tony Stewart, who's another pretty famous NASCAR racer, and his team Stewart Haas Racing. And it was like all looking up for him, and then Stewart Haas Racing just completely imploded, and they
Okay.
all of a sudden, it was like literally 1 week. Like they raced, and then the next week they did a press conference that was, we're closing the team at the end of the year.
That's an impressive
It's,
move. Okay. Good job.
yeah, it's a power move, Tony. Great work. So
Awesome.
he ended up for a lower level team called the Wood Brothers, which is a really long running NASCAR team, but
Oh,
I
okay.
wouldn't say that they're like a super competitive team. But he actually managed to win a race for them earlier this year, which is, it
Oh,
was their first win in a very long time, and it was a well received thing. So he's a very good race car driver.
well, that's excellent. Yeah, and I mean, and
And
NASCAR, like everyone loves to make fun of it and stuff, but it's seriously is
mhm.
probably really hard because those cars you have to basically do the exact same thing over and over again for hours, and it's hot,
Yeah,
really hot.
you know, I wouldn't say, like, if you look at the physical workout regiment of a like an F1 driver
Hmm.
versus a NASCAR driver, it's probably not even close. But there is a tremendous amount of skill involved in doing what a NASCAR driver does, and the focus that you have to keep for sometimes 4 to 5 hours
Which
is, that's a
that's
lot.
insane to
It's
me.
a
Yeah,
lot.
yeah.
It's a lot. Get in your car and just drive down the freeway for 4 hours
No,
and
someone's
feel
gonna
how
die.
tired you
Someone
are.
will die.
Yes,
That
feel how tired you are. And then doing it in their cars, which are very uncomfortable. And the thing you'd always kind of say about a NASCAR stock car is it's not really supposed to do what it does because it's really heavy. The tires are really narrow. It doesn't have a lot of downforce, and it has a massive engine.
right.
So it's a lot of just desperate. Like if you watch an in-car camera, that they're always moving their hands because the car wants to spin out constantly, and it doesn't have as much horsepower as it used to, but it's really hard. So
Yeah, they don't have all the
I
digital
always,
stuff that the
yeah,
yeah.
they don't have a lot of the really fancy things that make riding in a car easy. That,
So this
but I,
guy, Paul Maynard, I keep looking at this. Is he actually like the Menards? Like
he is John Menard's
actually?
son.
Oh
Yeah,
my God.
yes,
Okay. Wow.
from Eau Claire, Wisconsin.
Oh my
This man
God. Okay.
is.
We shop at those. Well, when I lived there, we shopped at those stores all the time.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was. He. eh,
He looks like a
Sometimes
cop.
drivers
Yeah.
He does look like a cop. You're not wrong. He looks like a
Yeah.
guy from Wisconsin.
That's true.
A lot of times drivers get into top tier of any racing series, IndyCar, F1, NASCAR, because they have a lot of money behind them.
That always
And
helps. Yeah.
I'm not going to say Paul Menard was the best race car driver, but he had a very large checkbook
Okay.
that got him very up into Cup Series for a long time, and he's okay.
There's another name I recognize from. They make beer,
Yeah,
right?
it's not that Bush,
Oh, it's
but it's
not.
spelled the
Okay.
same way. But no, they're Kurt and Kyle are brothers from Las
Oh,
Vegas
okay.
who are NASCAR drivers, and Kurt actually doesn't race anymore. He had some medical issues that prevented him from continuing on, and his is, man. There's like, I he might have written a book. If there is, it's probably a good read. He was the wonder kid. Like he came in at like 18 years old and was winning
Wow.
races, and was just like, this guy's the future of the sport. And then he just had a lot of, outside of the track problems with drunk driving
That's
and
gonna wreck a career.
marital
Yeah. Oh,
stuff and
okay.
things like that. And so he was on the skids for a long time and was still like a very good race car driver, but not really anyone's sponsors wanted to touch in a lot of ways.
Sure, right. You
And a
become
couple
like
of years ago,
uninsurable, basically, right? Yeah.
yeah, he came back and raced for as another driver named Denny Hamlin, who started a team with Michael Jordan,
Wait,
who
like
people maybe
Michael
heard of.
Jordan, like the baseball
Yeah,
player?
like basketball, but yeah. Well, that's okay. I got him. Um, and he was just starting to really get his groove back on, and the team was really starting to come in, and then he had his medical issues and had to retire out. So
Oh,
it's kind of a he's kind
that's
of a
kind
sad
of
story a
sad,
little bit,
actually.
but
But I bet the book is probably pretty good then.
yeah.
So this is, I
Cup
don't know.
Series champion.
Okay, this guy's famous.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's a current top level NASCAR driver, like at the absolute highest end of the podium. He races for a team called Penske Motorsports, Roger Penske. If you've ever seen
Oh,
Penske
sure.
trucks,
Yeah. Okay.
and
Yeah. I mean, yeah,
they're
he's
kind of
like in the
the
movies and stuff. Yeah.
exactly they're like a premier Ford racing team, and they yeah, he just won a cup title 2 years ago, and
Amazing.
he's a very good race car driver.
This guy just looks like a
Uh,
regular dude.
he's just a dude. Yep.
Yeah. I don't.
He's the son of another NASCAR driver. The Burton family has produced a lot of drivers, and they're all kind of from the New England area.
That makes sense. Like
Harrison
wrestling has the
actually,
same kind of thing, right? There's a lot of these
yes,
legacy.
it's
Yeah.
very family oriented. You
Yeah.
really don't. No one would want their child to get into this other than someone who already did it, because it seems very miserable to be a race car driver. It's a lot of hard work and it takes a really long time, and you basically could spend your whole life getting to it and then bounce out in 6 months and never really be a thing again. So it's a
Right.
lot
And
of
then,
investment and just
yeah. And
time
then
and
that's like
money.
your thing. And then you're just done, right? Yeah.
So you kind of have to be rich to start with, which means a lot of drivers have their children do it. But
Oh,
he raced for the Wood Brothers team that Josh Berry, he got bounced out and Josh Berry took his seat, and now he's down racing in the Xfinity series.
oh, cool. So we got
Is
one
Mr. Harrison.
numbered card. It's not like low numbered. It's a 299.
Sure.
And Jimmy Johnson, a very generic name, but I assume famous in some way.
You could make the argument. I won't. You could make the argument that he's the greatest NASCAR driver of all time.
Oh God, I feel so bad now. Okay.
I mean, why would you know that
In
though?
more than half of his 686 starts,
hmm
is that right?
Yeah, that sounds about right. He
How
raced
many
for a very
races a
long
year
time.
do they do? Is that like 20 years worth? Or is it...
NASCAR is insane. So NASCAR does 36 races a year.
Oh
So of
my
the
God.
52 weeks a year, 36 of them there is a NASCAR race going on somewhere. So it's
Ah,
they only
okay.
have like 2 weekends off during the season and then a very short off season. But yeah, Jimmy Johnson's a multi-time Cup Series champion. He has basically has the record for. He doesn't have the race win records, but no one. That's an impossible stat
Sure.
for reasons that would take a long time to explain. But uh, yeah, I mean, you could call him the best driver of all time. I wouldn't, but you certainly could make that case.
Awesome. So this card looks super
Uh,
cool. Looks like fireworks.
yeah, yeah.
I don't know Austin.
In my in my personal opinion, Austin Dillon sucks,
Okay.
but
Good, good.
he's yeah, he he is the son. So there's a guy who owns a cup team. His name's Richard Childress, and he owned Dale Earnhardt Sr.'s team
All right.
when he raced the number three GM Goodwrench car, and they really didn't use that number or font after Dale passed away. But then Austin Dillon, who's his grandson,
Oh, that's what we're looking at here.
came in and raced for Richard Childress, obviously because it's his kid, and he was like, I want to be the number three, and so they gave him the number and the font treatment, and
Oh,
it was
I can
it's
imagine
kind
that
of
would be spicy. Yeah.
a bit of a poison pill, you know,
Hmm.
because you're just unless you are the best race car driver in the world, that's a really tough thing to just have attached to
You're
you,
sort of like
and
setting
he's
yourself up. Yeah.
yeah. And so you try to have like an attitude about you and things like that. Because Dale Sr. was known as the intimidator, and his thing was he was a scary man to race against because he'd probably wreck you. And that's not really how racing works anymore. You can't get away with that stuff. So it's,
Oh, I'm
I don't
sure of
know.
it. Yeah.
I don't think he's very good, but I do think he also got put in probably mostly of his own making, but is not in a particularly good spot from like a number and just legacy perspective.
Yeah, and I always like. I mean, I don't. I mean, we spent a lot of time on this back already, but I just want because these cars are crazy. Like that looks like just.
Hmm.
I mean, it looks like a Toyota or something to
Yeah.
me, right? But it's not, right?
Yep.
Like that body is totally fake. Like this is all just fake, right?
Technically speaking, right, it is stock car racing, so it's the National Association of Stock Car Auto Racing, NASCAR. The
Oh
it
God,
is
that's what it
supposed to
stands
be
for. Yeah.
it is, yeah, it's supposed to be everything in that car. It's not, but it's supposed to be you could go to a Ford parts catalog and order it and build it yourself at home. That's like the theory behind it. It's not.
Interesting. Okay.
But that's like the thought behind it. So they're supposed to kind of look like a real car. They're supposed to have similar badging and similar like graphics on them and things like that because the thought was always back in the day it actually was stock. So or sort of stock. So it was like, well, the Ford Torino won on Sunday, so people will go to the car dealership on Monday to buy that car because it won a race. That's kind of how NASCAR got
A
big
lot
in
of
with
racing
automakers.
started that way, I
Uh,
think. Yeah.
yeah, yep. I mean, the Ferrari as a great
Yeah.
example.
Right.
So,
I had watched this
uh,
movie, I think. Yeah. But like
yeah,
this
Ford
body, it
versus
doesn't
Ferrari.
have
Yep.
quarter panels on it. The hood doesn't open, like, right? Or
The hood will open and the trunk will open. But I mean, yeah, it's a hung body, so it's it's shaped onto the car. They're really fiberglass now. They're not steel bodied anymore.
yeah.
And NASCAR is, as a cost saving measure, a couple of years ago, it went to what's it's a spec series. So everyone has the same, theoretically, everyone has the same car. It's
Oh,
just how you engineer it that's different, but everyone uses the same parts. They come from a single supplier.
oh,
So,
that's
because,
wild. That's closer than
yeah,
to F. Well, sort of like how F1 maybe worked a while ago or something.
closer to like an Indy car. F1 is radically different than that.
Oh,
But
they go all
so
crazy.
they,
Okay, but Indy cars are like all the same, basically.
yeah, Indy cars are all Dallara chassis. So back in like the late 90s, early 2000s, when NASCAR just had like gobs of money being thrown at it, everything was custom built for every single car, and
Oh
they
my
would put
God.
an engine into it just to qualify, blow that engine up, and put a new engine
Okay,
into
that's
it.
F1.
And and F1 actually doesn't do that, but the F1 did that a lot of then too. And so they don't do a lot of that stuff anymore, which kind of hurts some of the.
Huh.
I mean, they have to because they just don't have the money to be that competitive with each other anyway, because they
Sure.
would just waste millions of dollars, like
Yeah, it kind of
on.
evens the floor like a little
Yeah, yeah.
bit, theoretically.
Makes it more attractive if you're coming in as a new team because it's possible for you to compete. So they kind of do some things like that.
Yeah. So we got another Race Kings card. Is this guy more popular or Kevin Harvick?
Yeah, Kevin Harvick's probably more popular. I don't know if Jimmy
Oh,
Johnson's really like a well-liked driver, but
he looks like such a
Kevin
nice
Harvick.
guy.
I think Jimmy Johnson, he was on an episode of Mickey and the Roadster Racers with Mickey Mouse, and he definitely hit
Aw.
on Daisy Duck. So I think he's
Oh,
cool, but
okay. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Huh.
um, Kevin Harvick's of started around the same time. Kevin Harvick is the guy who took over for Dale Earnhardt's car after he passed away. So
Oh,
he
interesting.
was,
Okay.
but he
Oh,
actually, I wouldn't say lived up to the legacy, but he did a really good job in that car, and he was known as a very hard racer, and he would wreck you too, and he had a huge chip on his shoulder, and
okay, great. All right.
he's won a cup championship, won a lot of races. He's the commentator. He's the lead commentator for the Fox broadcast now. I don't think he's particularly good at it, but but he
Oh,
is the lead.
they always do
Um,
that. They bring in they're making like a
yeah,
sorry, this is totally unrelated, but they're making like a Madden movie, right? With sorry, that's like
yes, they are.
football, but
Yes, with everyone's favorite Nicolas Cage
right, right.
as
Yeah, I mean our
John
dad
Madden.
sent that out. I was just like, oh my God, that's so crazy.
Yep, that is
Okay, so
wild.
this guy we all know, right?
Yeah, the King, Richard Petty,
Sure.
star of the movie Cars.
That's actually kind of true.
So
Yes.
he still has the record. He has 200 wins. That was his big thing, and 7 championships. But
Ah, okay.
and that's the record that can never be broken because in the era that he raced, he'd win races by like 12 laps and with three other cars in them and things like that. And not to downplay his
Wow, that's like
accomplishments,
a
obviously an
lot.
incredible
Yeah.
driver, but like it's not possible for someone to equal his win total anymore. But probably again, you can make the argument greatest of all time. David Pearson is, in my opinion, the best race car driver
Well,
of all
maybe we'll
time, but
pull him.
that's
I remember
neither
this
here nor there.
name a lot too.
Yeah. He was so Bubba Wallace races for Michael Jordan's team. He drives the
Perfect.
number 23 car
Okay.
for Michael Jordan.
Oh God, that's so
And
perfect.
mhm. And he's a really good what they call restrictor plate racing, which draft racing like Daytona and Talladega and Atlanta. He's very, very adept at that kind of style of
Hmm.
racing. Short tracks are not necessarily his strong suit, so he's still coming along. There was a big thing a couple of years ago. I think it was during the COVID year
Oh.
where supposedly there was something that looked like a noose left in his garage
Oh my God,
stall in a
I
race.
remember reading about that. I don't follow
Yeah.
any sports stuff, and I remember
Yep.
reading about that.
And it was actually I gave a lot of credit to NASCAR because the response to that was a every single team member from every single team came out and did like a solidarity thing with him before the race. And I think
Oh
I don't
yeah,
I don't know. I again wasn't there,
of
right? But I,
course.
I
Yeah.
think over time it's kind of been like it maybe wasn't a noose, it just looked like one and it was maybe just some cabling that was left kind
Oh
of
my God,
unattended to.
still, yeah. I
That
remember that
was
was a big,
that
big
was the
deal. Yeah.
thing that was the thing that immediately led to NASCAR banning Confederate flags from racetracks.
Gosh, okay.
And which
In
was a huge deal.
2024 or something.
Yeah, I mean, probably should have before, but that was a huge deal when it happened, and
I
people were
imagine,
kind of
yeah.
like, I mean, the response was sort of better than like NFL's responses to some similar stuff. So,
Yeah, I mean, it's
uh,
good to see that. I mean, yeah, even just have everyone come
hmm
and do a solidarity move is awesome.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's a cool video to watch.
I think is this
Yeah,
Brandon Jones?
Brandon Jones, is a journeyman race car driver. He's been in the Xfinity series for a very long time.
Looks like a little kid almost.
Yeah, he's probably like 19 in that picture, but I don't
Oh,
think that he's probably got it to Racing Cup, but he's got a lot of money behind him, so he'll probably get a
okay.
ride at some point in time.
Tony Stewart?
Uh, Tony Stewart, that's the other guy.
Okay.
Tony might actually. I don't like Tony Stewart.
His
On a
sunglasses don't
personal note,
impress me. Yeah.
he's kind of a prick, but he might actually be the best living driver that I've ever seen in my life. He can get into anything and be competitive almost immediately, and not just a stock car. He raced
Wow.
IndyCar and was a winner there. He did an exchange with Lewis Hamilton, I think, where he drove the F1 car around Watkins Glen, and
Oh
he
my.
was almost within 3 laps. He was like on the pace to what those guys could do in that thing, and that's like not set up or balanced for
That's
him or anything like that.
insane.
He
That's
can
actually
get
kind of
into
insane.
dirt sprint cars, dirt late models, off-road trucks, rally cars. He's like a savant at racing, which
How
is
do you
always
do
funny because
rally
everyone
and road?
always
How do you do both of those?
he always would make fun of him because he's just like this portly little dude from Indiana.
Right, he doesn't look like much. Yeah.
And but he never was like a physical fitness guy or anything. They like, how are you so good at driving cars? He's like, I don't know, I just drive them. It's just like a natural
Amazing.
talent
I
that's
actually kind of
crazy. And
like I like that.
yeah, won a lot of championships, a lot of races, started his own team. He actually does drag racing now and is maybe going to be an NHRA champion at that as well.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a whole other, yeah, I that's a whole other crazy sport. Yeah, for sure.
hmm
Oh my God. I remember
That's
dad was big into that too. Yeah.
yes, yep. Well, as our Uncle Jeff was a drag racer,
Right,
so
exactly. Yeah, exactly. So
um,
yeah. Uh
Austin Dillon. That's Austin Dillon again from
again,
the
yeah, I
number
think
three
we
car.
did look
Yep.
at that. And then
I
what
think
is
he had a
this?
reality TV show for a
A
season or
miss.
two about his life that you can watch if you wanted to.
Do I?
No,
Okay.
Netflix did do a so Netflix does a F1 series called Drive to Survive, which is I think one of the most popular things on Netflix every year. And last year they
I've
started a similar
heard of
thing
that one,
for
yeah.
NASCAR called NASCAR
Oh, this guy we've
Unleashed,
seen.
maybe. Uh,
Oh, that's
yeah, that's
Tony.
Tony Stewart
Oh,
again.
that's him.
Yep,
Yeah,
driving his
okay.
14.
Burning
Uh,
out a little bit.
I would probably just want to race. He is he started as an IndyCar racer, and he always really wanted to win the Indy 500. So he used AJ Foyt, who won a lot of Indy 500s. His number's 14, and so Tony always used number
Oh,
14 for
okay.
him. Um,
Yeah, and this is
but
Richard Petty again, just on a
mhm.
retro version. So, but the same guy.
the the coolest thing that I think I ever saw anyone do in a NASCAR stock car was Tony Stewart at Indianapolis. They do well, they used to do a race there called the Brickyard 400 every year,
I've heard of
and
that.
he always
Yeah,
wanted to win the Indy 500, but didn't get to race IndyCar as much as was the opportunity was available to him. So he was racing. It was I think one of the first times he was at Indianapolis in a NASCAR stock car, and they used to be able to key radios in to talk to each other during the races. They don't let them do that anymore, but they used to be able to.
between two
Um,
cars.
yes, yep.
Oh, yeah, that would be
Mostly for
dangerous. Yeah,
coordinating drafting was a big thing, or pit stops because you need to know if the person in front of you is going to peel off to pit, and so you don't
yeah.
smash into them. Now they have spotters that do all that for them. But it was very late in the Brickyard 400. There's a driver named Casey Kane who was leading, and Tony Stewart was just catching him. I mean, you're looking at the stopwatch and you're like, he's gonna get him. I mean, he's just
Yeah.
coming. And all of a sudden, just out of nowhere, Tony Stewart comes over the radio and he's like, "Here, kitty, 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 come get you some." And I don't know why, but I was like, that is such an ice cold move. That's so
That
cool.
because you're like,
And
if I was in that car, my hands would be like this, and I'd be freaking out.
oh
I would
yeah.
not be making jokes.
Yeah, it's an incredibly dangerous track to race on too. And then he did end up catching Casey Kane and passing him, I think, with like two
I
laps to
hope so.
go.
If you're gonna do
It's
that, you
just,
better deliver.
oh
Yeah.
yeah, you can't call your shot and miss, otherwise you never live it down. But so
All
yeah,
right, and we are gonna run out of time on this soon. We're gonna have to reset, but let's look at this relic
that's okay.
because we did pull. I don't know. I kind of went by it quickly, but we got a blank
Oh
in the
yeah,
last pack.
Austin Cindric,
But
sure,
we have
sure.
something here, and I think it's gonna be a
Ooh, this is a fancy looking card.
something. What is that like
Race
a?
day relic
What is that?
from like his suit, maybe, or
I honestly don't know. It could be like it could be a piece of the tire, but I don't know.
oh, Rob. Sure, yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah, but is this
Uh,
guy popular at all? Because it's not a numbered card, so
No,
okay, that makes
he
sense.
is so Roger Penske Motorsports, and that's Dave Blaney, or sorry, Ryan Blaney and Joey Logano, who have won a lot of races and cup championships, and he's kind of the third driver. Um, his dad is Tim Cindric, who runs race operations for Roger Penske. Well, did until
Oh,
about a
okay.
week and a half ago.
Oh,
And now he doesn't anymore. And so it's his son, and so I think everyone was always kind of like, is
ah,
Austin actually that good, or does he have that seat because his dad runs the operation? He's fine. He won a Daytona 500. He's
but
fine.
that's still legit.
Um,
Yeah.
but I think I don't think he would normally have earned the seat that he is in had it not been for the
All
familial
right.
connection. But
Well
yeah,
then,
the
hmm.
Roger Penske's IndyCar team was just involved in their second scandal in 2 years around cheating at the Indy 500.
Oh, okay. Well, that's
And
kind of a tradition too, isn't
yeah,
it?
the tricky thing with IndyCar is that Roger Penske has a team that races in IndyCar. He also owns the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and he owns IndyCar. So he bought the whole
Okay,
series.
that's tough to beat.
So his team has cheated 2 years in a row at Indianapolis and been caught, and in both cases got a pretty light penalty that was outside what you would
Oh,
call
did
the
they
normal
investigate
standard.
themselves and figure out it was,
Yeah, it
yeah,
determined there
makes
was no
sense. Yeah,
wrongdoing.
sure.
And so this time around, Tim Cindric, who's the head of operations, got fired along with a lot of the Penske racing staff as kind of a make good because Honda,
Hmm.
the car manufacturer, word on the street is they came to Roger and said, "We are not going to continue to compete in IndyCar as an engine
If
supplier," and
it's
they
this
supply engines for
corrupt,
like
yeah, it kind of makes
yeah,
sense.
for like
Yeah.
half the grid.
All right.
And so they kind of cleaned house like the very next day and have now committed to next year to having an independent investigative body that
Nice.
runs penalties.
All right. And all right, and we're back. We just got booted quick there by our Zoom meeting, but we are back, and what we're going to do is put the NASCAR cards away. Unfortunately, we didn't get any major relics today. Who is this? Austin Cindric, just not the relic we were looking for, probably. But
No, no.
But still, there's some interesting stories there, and I haven't really thought a whole lot about NASCAR in a long time. Why don't we move on though to F1 and let's look at this crazy thing. So this is called Turbo Attacks. This is an officially licensed product printed by Topps, actually, and in but only in Europe. So this is a Europe only kind of thing. But of course, I got myself a box because I can't resist goofy stuff like this where they mix like the
Yeah, I'm so
real with
curious about
right.
this
I just can't resist it. So I had to pick it up.
because I have a board game I got called Heat, which is a board game
But that's an actual
of
like that's a real
yeah,
board game. Yeah.
it's really good too.
Right,
I
like a
played that with
good
some
one.
buddies of
Yeah.
mine who had a blast playing it.
Yeah.
So like they exist. So but I've never heard of this.
Yeah, no, this is not going to be at that quality level. I've never actually learned the rules for it, but the little bit that I know about this game is it's very similar to War. Remember that card game?
Okay, yeah, I love War because
Oh,
it's so
it's so
easy.
easy, right? Like anyone can play it because all you really have
Mhm.
is an attack and a defense value, and that's pretty
What are
much
we doing
it.
here?
Yeah. And so this these cards aren't going to be super impressive or anything. We're going to kind of go through these in order to like these packs at the bottom are very expensive. But the ones
Okay,
at the top are not. These are very
okay,
cheap.
gotcha,
That whole box
gotcha.
cost me $20, I think. So
Oh, all right. Hey,
yeah, yeah,
that's no
we're
biggie.
talking dirt cheap here. Oh,
Less than an F1 team hat. So
oh God, F1 stuff, anything F1 is like crazy
yeah,
expensive, right?
I have a Williams hat, and I think I paid like $50 for that thing.
So I don't do
Wow,
I
Frederick
okay,
Vesti.
you know,
Whoa.
okay, I don't know any of
Yeah.
these, but
So he's in the with the so F1's Formula One, and Formula just means that it's the rules, the formula for how you make the car, basically.
oh, I
So there's
didn't know
Formula
that's what that
Two and
meant. Okay,
yeah,
that
there's
makes
there's
sense.
Formula Two, Formula Three, Formula Four, and you kind of go through the systems. Frederick Vesti is a F2 driver.
Oh,
He's
it
not even
says
an
so
F1
right there.
rider.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
This
Lando
F1.
Norris, the first one you pulled, sorry, is
Yeah.
he is you can tell this is like a little old. So within the last 2 years, he kind of went from being like everyone thinks that he's going to be a big deal to a legit championship contender. He's currently 3 points in this current season, 3 points behind his teammate for the world championship.
Oh,
So
is he still race for
um,
McLaren?
yes, he does. Yep.
Oh,
I would
awesome.
say those numbers. If you got this same card in 2025, those numbers would be like 20 points higher.
Well, this could count as a rookie card then,
Yeah, it's pretty
such
close. I
as it
mean,
is.
he's relatively new. What do we got here?
This thing is the
Uh,
Batmobile. I know this car.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's the Mercedes. Yeah, with the
Yeah.
Viking horns on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Beautiful cars.
I,
Like they
w-
are just insane to look at. Yeah.
what can you say? He is. It's the same thing we talked before. Like you could make an argument. I will not. Is the greatest race car driver, greatest F1 driver
Well,
of all
he would
time.
definitely make that argument.
I don't know if he would. He
Oh,
probably would say Ayrton Senna is the best of all time
okay.
because he's a
Wow.
Senna accolade. But the Mercedes is a gorgeous car. It's so immaculately engineered, especially
Yeah.
that era of them. They're kind of fallen off a little bit in the last year or two,
Okay.
but amazing stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
beautiful car. The all black one is awesome. They did a special livery for Star Wars once where they had like an Imperial paint scheme on it. And it was like,
Oh, I
mwah.
kind of want to look that up. That sounds cool. I don't know this guy.
Ah,
Oh, Sergio. Oh, of
Sergio.
course, I've heard this name. Yeah.
Yeah, the Mexican Minister of Defense. He is. What's his defense? Why is his defense rating so low? So
Because he
he's
should be
known
better at
as
that.
incredibly difficult to pass. That is kind of his thing. I wouldn't
Are they
necessarily.
allowed to make it harder? Aren't there rules
Yeah,
like
you
by
can. You
rules
can.
and things?
Yeah, it's a lot. Rules are really tricky in racing because it's a lot of just.
Oh, for
It's like
sure. Okay,
football
for
with
sure.
like roughing the passer, and everyone gets mad at those calls all the time. And so a lot of it's the did you gain an unfair advantage on attacking? Did you move more than once on the straightaway to block? Under braking, what did you do? Where was the front axle of your car at the apex of the turn? These are a lot of the things that they look at
Got
in those. But he's just very good at putting his car in places where you kind of have to decide you're either going to try to pass him or crash. And so a lot of times you'll just back out and not
Well,
do
it's
either
almost
one
like
because you don't want to crash.
chess like a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. He very famously um, held up Lewis Hamilton at the last race of the year in 2021, which is an incredible season of Formula One. It came down to 1 point between the top two drivers at the
Wow.
last race of
Wow,
the season,
geez. Okay.
uh, between Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen, and he blocked the hell out of Lewis Hamilton in a much slower car and allowed Max not to get close enough to pass him, but get close enough to where when some really goofy stuff happened after it that we would need several hours to unpack. Basically, it gave Max the opportunity to win a championship that probably
Amazing.
wouldn't have been there before,
This
and
is
kind of got a
maybe
reputation
this
bad.
says it's from 2021, but it's Abu
Oh,
Dhabi.
there you
So,
go. That's Abu Dhabi. Yep, that is the race. So that's
oh,
Max
because
passing
that's the car.
Lewis.
Yeah.
hmm So that's Max Verstappen passing Lewis on essentially the last lap of the race to win the championship by I think it ended up being 3 points.
Amazing. Yeah.
And after an incredible season of racing with each other, it's a little mired because they
Crazy
call him race
Max.
director. It's the person whose job it is to decide what happens in a race from a
So not
managing what's going
wait,
on
not like a
perspective.
referee, but more like a
Sort
literally a
of
manager.
like the head of officiating, I guess, but they kind of do it on a per race basis. But his name's Michael Massey, and it was looking like after this incredibly epic season and this incredibly epic championship battle that the race was going to end under what they call a red flag, or sorry, a yellow flag. So
Hmm.
basically, not racing, right? They were just going to run out the laps, and
Oh,
so
that sounds lame.
Michael.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think Michael, having a lot of pressure coming from a lot of different sides, made a really bad decision, and that decision was to just throw the rule book out the window for the sake of the show.
Okay.
And
It
and
sounds
he
dangerous.
basically, yeah, he allowed cars to pass that weren't supposed to, and basically created a scenario wherein Max Verstappen, who really didn't have a chance of passing Lewis Hamilton, um, he flipped the script. So Lewis Hamilton had to defend against Max, who had brand new tires, and um,
Hmm.
it was pretty hopeless, right?
Yeah,
It
that's like a
basically
big
made it,
advantage, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
If depending on how you look at it, it really was like they basically gave the world championship to Max, and Max had certainly spent the entire season putting himself in a position to win it, so you can't say it was all that one race,
Right,
but
right. It's not like it was in last place or something. So yeah,
it's really
yeah,
looks like the FIA just kind of gave Max a championship, and
perfect.
so it was extremely controversial, right? And that's the controversial moment from the controversial race and the controversial season of him
Well,
actually passing him on the last lap and winning the race. And while that's happening, you can hear the audio of the team owner of Mercedes like screaming at
being
Michael
very
Massey over the
happy about
radio,
it all.
like,
Yeah.
this is not right. What are you doing? You're breaking all the rules. And Lewis Hamilton's on the radio like, this is a conspiracy. What's happening? And it was a mess, basically.
Oh, that's
So,
amazing.
anyways,
That's all recorded. That's crazy.
yeah, Yuki Tsunoda,
Oh,
he took Sergio Perez's seat,
oh, okay. I
going
saw
into
that.
this year. So Red Bull has a team called Racing Bulls, which is their junior squad, and he raced for them for a long time. He's a Honda backed driver, and
All
Honda
right.
supplies the engines for Red Bull. And Sergio was let go last year, and they kind of had a rotating driver lineup in that seat, and Yuki kind of ended up getting it this year, and he's struggling a little bit, but I think it's more the car than him.
Ah, amazing.
And there's Lando again.
Yeah, and I don't know this is some kind of parallel, so I'm gonna go ahead and sleeve it. But again,
Yes.
I know very little about these cards. I don't think any of them are worth a ton, but I think there
And you
are.
actually there's like
Yeah,
a there's like a competitive game you can play with them.
yeah, that's what all these numbers are for.
I suppose.
But
Yeah,
it's
sure.
very
Okay.
much like war. There's not complex rules. It's just kind of flip a
Okay.
card and see if you have
Yeah.
more numbers.
Okay. That's a I can yeah. That's
If
the
you
game my wife would like.
they make the attack series, so this ATTAX, they make it for
Okay.
soccer, for wrestling, for
Okay.
everything basically. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know this guy either.
Whew,
I guess I
yeah,
don't know many
Joe.
of these, but I'm not gonna sleep that, but yeah.
Zhou is China's first F1 driver, and so I
Oh,
think
okay.
everyone thought that would come with a lot of money and opportunities, and they got a race in China as a result. But then COVID happened at the exact same
Oh,
time,
that's gonna burn out.
which basically shut China out of doing any of that thing. And he raced for probably the worst team in Formula One, and so
Okay.
he was kind of dealt a bad hand. I
Wait,
think he's a
Alpha is.
reserve. So it's not really Alfa Romeo.
Oh,
It's a
okay,
team
okay.
called Sauber that just wears Alfa Romeo's skin, much
Hmm.
like a serial killer, and
Okay.
they
Jeez.
are bad.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, amazing. This guy's got big numbers. He must be. Or is it just
Yeah,
because he's
Charles.
French?
He's from Monaco, actually. He
Okay.
is an extremely rare. He's one of the like 5,000 people
That's
from
right.
the
There are
actual
not very many
Principality of
people from
Monaco.
Monaco, so
No, he is. They, a lot of people live there for tax reasons.
sure.
Not a. So he is. Yeah, Charles Leclerc is. He was kind of Ferrari's wonderkin.
Hmm.
They brought him in very young. They gave him a very long, very lucrative contract. And he's kind of been their charge leader for a long time. So Ferrari this year bought Lewis Hamilton from Mercedes. For
Oh, you can do
I think
that
in
like a draft, or
uh,
or is it just
no, it was his contract was up with Mercedes and the I don't know the exact numbers, no one probably
sure?
ever will, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
something like in total with all the extra stuff, something like $400 million to
Okay, so you're
get
just
Lewis
tossing
Hamilton
money
to
and winning that way.
yeah,
Got
I
it.
mean
Okay.
Ferrari's got a lot of money, so
Makes
they
sense, yeah.
brought
Their
him in to
cars are
be
kind of expensive,
Leclerc's
so yeah.
yes, they bought him in to be Leclerc's teammate, but Charles kind of making mincemeat of Lewis this year, to be
Huh.
honest. So
This
he's
guy's
very
just
good.
American? Is that
Yeah,
possible?
that's Logan Sargent. Yeah,
Okay.
he is America's. Unfortunately, was
I mean, his
R1 hope
numbers
for an
are
F1
pretty low,
driver.
so
Yeah, he's bad. So
I was gonna say there
he
aren't a
raced
lot
for
of
it.
American drivers, right?
No,
Yeah.
no. He was the one, and a team called Williams put him in, and Williams is also well at the Williams is on the upswing at the time. We're not doing very well. And Williams had him in as their second driver, and you could say maybe because they thought there'd be some good money opportunities by having an American in the car. Logan wrecked
Sure.
a lot of
Okay.
race cars. He crashed
Oh,
a
that's gonna be
lot.
expensive.
And
Yeah.
when he didn't crash, he also didn't do good. So they fired him at the end of last year and put Argentinian driver in the car instead of him, who kind of immediately did a lot better. And it was sort of like, okay, so Logan is
Oops.
maybe going to go do IndyCar now, but I think he's had a hard time finding an IndyCar ride too. So he
Oh,
might just kind
geez.
of be done.
Oh.
He had a cool name though, and he's from Florida, so I mean, it's like sort of perfect.
If you're gonna pick a race, I'm not gonna
Uh,
say anything. It's too
the
bad.
the
I know
big
this
you were
name.
asking about this
Oh,
you were asking about this a little bit earlier too, and just
yeah.
on a small point on that. So F1 no longer has unlimited budgets. They have what's called a cost cap, so they only get to spend a certain amount of money in a year, and that was done so
Wait,
that
and
the
it's
lower
by
teams.
money?
Yes,
How do they?
so they only get 180 million, I think, in operating budget for the year.
They just have to
um
account for that and people check? And
Yeah.
okay.
Yep. It's a really intense accounting process, and you get a penalty. I'm gonna say a big penalty. You get a penalty if you exceed it. Red Bull did the first year of it, and they basically don't let them use the wind tunnel as much for testing as they would normally. That was kind of the penalty that was issued. So
That's like getting
in
sent to your room
this
or something. That's amazing.
yeah, basically, yep. You don't get to play with your toys.
Oh my God, I love
So
it.
in this day and age, Logan Sargent wrecking a lot of cars is actually a lot worse because they only have so much money to fix them. And the situation with him
Oh,
got so
geez.
bad
Yeah,
at
I
one
didn't
point
think
in
about that.
time that they had to pull a car from a race and give it to the other driver because they had crashed so many of them. They literally didn't have any more cars and they couldn't afford to build them. So,
That's such a
uh,
crazy way to do it. I mean, I could understand
yeah.
doing it with like your engine can be this big, you can have this and that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
But to say you can spend this much money, that's
The theory is they allow them to still build unique bespoke cars and unique bespoke engines and aerodynamic packages and everything per driver, but it still has to be within a budgetary constraint that allows low level teams to compete with high level teams. Otherwise, basically, like in the era of Lewis Hamilton's dominance, like Mercedes just outspent everybody like 4-1, and so
yeah,
they
yeah,
won
yeah.
everything.
See,
So
that's
they,
that's the F1 I remember where you just were
yeah,
like,
yeah.
yeah.
When Michael Schumacher won a bunch of world championships with Ferrari, Ferrari was like, I mean, their operating budget must have been in the billions,
Sure.
and so they had their own tire that was just for them. Like it was,
Amazing.
they spent so much money, and it was like everyone else. Like, I mean, we can't beat. I mean, how are we supposed to beat him? So,
Yeah.
anyways, sorry.
So I'm just gonna go a
Sebastian Vettel
little.
is a
Yeah.
also incredible race car driver too.
There's the
It's
Yuki
interesting to
again.
just have like moments, I guess.
Yeah, and you would think that it would be like part of the game, but it's really not. It just has an attack and a defense, just like
Sure,
everything else.
sure, yeah.
Which honestly, I like it because I'm like, yeah, that's crazy. There's Sergio
There's more
again,
Sergio.
driving on
Yep.
the. I didn't know you were allowed to drive on the edge like that.
You can't put all four tires over the white line, but you can use some of it.
Oh,
Not the whole thing
but
though.
isn't it?
Typically speaking, you'll just go slower because the curb is
Yeah, that's what I
it
mean.
will
Because
bounce your
I
car
always
around.
thought that
Yep.
was bouncy over there.
Yeah, F1 cars don't really have suspension in the way that a normal car does. So if you bounce on the ground, your spine takes the impact, not a shock or a spring. So they
That'll
they
limit
don't want to
you.
do that because it's very painful.
I can
It's
only
basically the
imagine.
gist of that.
Because they're also like tightly strapped in, right? So they're not moving.
Yeah, yeah, that thing is molded to their entire body.
Yeah,
So
I don't
they're
know
yeah,
what these are.
yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, that's just a team. It's like a Ferrari card and then an Aston Martin
That's an
card.
Aston, right? I've never seen this
Mhm.
cognizant, but that's the Aston logo.
Yeah, they're a big consulting firm.
Oh, okay. You would know that
Yeah.
then, yeah. Cool. Okay, so those are the low end F1 cards. Let's get
hmm
them off the table. I mean, it was good to learn about, but they probably don't look as good
Interesting.
as these.
Yeah. I'm it just yeah, it feels much more like we just kind of took like promotional photos from races and
Yeah.
then put a
These
number on
should
them.
be a little bit more interesting, although these are the lower end Formula One official cards, if that makes sense.
Okay.
They're paper still. So if you
Ah,
remember
okay.
those terms, we have paper and then we have
Yep,
chrome in the other set.
I do.
So this
We've
is
got another
F2
F2
again.
driver here.
I was gonna say that car looks a little different to me too.
Yeah, so F2 cars are much less sophisticated. They are spec, so that's all the same chassis and engine in
Hmm.
in all of them. And it's meant to get you familiar with the tracks and things like that. I
Yeah.
don't know who that is. I'll be
Oh,
honest
that's
with you, I
okay.
have no
That's okay.
idea who that
F2, I
is.
wouldn't know. Yeah. Here's
I
another
watch
F2.
F2 races. They're usually good, but I honestly don't know that name.
The driver
Ray
has.
Nasani? Sure. Yep. Yep. He's a Williams developmental, I want to
Oh,
say.
there's the Charles guy. That's what he
There you
actually looks
go.
like.
Yeah, he's
Why is the
incredibly
car
handsome. Is
white?
also the other thing. I don't
Oh, this is just some image
know.
they drew, maybe.
I'm not sure. I mean, that's what a current gen F1 car looks like as like a spec car with no paint on it. Like they
Really?
have
They
a
have the
the
intakes like the molded like that?
not every one of them. So
Oh,
so
okay.
so those are components that you can kind of build yourself, but the front wing is that's they all pretty much look the same. So what they tried to do with this generation of car and actually the rules reset next year and it'll change out. But this generation of car
Yeah.
they tried to do it so that the wash off the car, the air wash off of it, they call it dirty air,
Hmm.
would go out instead of backwards so that the car
Well, you can't
behind
use it
them
as a
could
weapon.
follow a little.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
essentially, yep.
Yeah.
And so that's all the front wings look like that, but the rest of the cars are very unique.
Yeah, I was gonna say that that air channel there looks very expensive.
They call them it's the side pods. Yep, yep.
Yeah.
As Lewis
Lewis
Hamilton,
Hamilton,
as
yeah,
a
locked
lot of
in.
cards of him probably.
Is this thing this is like a roll cage sort of?
Yeah, they call it the Halo. So they unfortunately had a driver fatality,
I
which
see.
hadn't happened in a very long time. I think the first time since like '94, and it was a driver who flipped,
Got it.
and
Yeah,
so they kind of added some extra
that
protective
is
stuff
gonna be a
on there to
problem.
to
Yeah.
stop that from being
Interesting.
a because what would happen is you would flip over and then your head would drag across the ground. So
Uh,
they kind of get that in
I
there
can
to block
imagine
it
that
out.
gets messy real fast. Yeah.
Ask Freddy.
This is
Ah,
what is a Team Orlen?
so Team Orlin is Alfa Romeo Sauber. Just
Oh, I thought that
Orlean
was
was
like
the
a
other
title, like
major
he's the
sponsor.
Team Orlen, but that's not the title.
He
Okay.
is the team principal of that, so the coach, the head coach, for lack of a better term.
Sure.
Frederick Vestier is been around a long time, led a lot of development programs for drivers. He's Charles Leclerc's best friend, and they Ferrari actually brought him in to lead their team.
Oh,
I
cool.
think last year through this year, and he very well liked figure in the garage. He's just an affable jolly man.
I mean, he looks like the kind of guy you would just want to have a beer with and
Yeah,
chat
he's
about
just, he
racing,
just
right?
seems
Yeah.
he's a fun, just fun. And who's our sorry, who's
Oh,
the
that is
Alpine
Esteban
driver there?
Ocon.
Oh, sure. Yep. He races for Haas now, which is an American team, but he's a French driver, and he raced for Alpine, which is Renault, which is a
Yeah,
French auto manufacturer for a long time.
they make some cars for sure.
He's the rare F1 driver that didn't come into the sport with money. He just came in on talent.
Oh, you could kind
So
of
I
see
think
it in
he's
his face too. He's like, I'm just happy to be here, guys.
yeah. He's really good.
Oh,
I
sure,
think
sure.
he's kind
Oh,
of
you
always
have to
in
be,
crap
right? You're not
equipment,
gonna,
but
yeah.
it's always funny, if someone's doing bad, people are like, what a terrible driver. I'm like, I mean, he's like the 18th best driver in the world. It's still pretty good. It's like
Yeah.
finishing fifth at the Olympics. Like, what
Right.
a loser.
Everybody in an F1 car kind of earned that spot, I think. It's Charles
It's
again.
more very handsome Charles Leclerc.
Oh, and there's our Chinese driver.
Yep, show. Yep, there he is in his
That
Alpha,
car
which is
has a
now
lot of side arrow. I don't think I've ever seen
yes. So
that before.
they use what's called ground effects now. So they have a component on the bottom that's the floor that does most of the aerodynamic channeling
Is it have a
underneath the car.
hydraulic on it?
No,
Okay, it's just
they
mounted that way. Okay.
suspensions are sideways on Formula One cars. If you ever see them, they don't go up and down; they go in and out. And so it kind of looks like that, but it's just they're just
Okay.
goofy. But so the air channels under the car and out the sides instead of directly back over the wing, and that's all done through the floor these days.
Yeah,
But
I guess
yeah,
I've never seen I the last
they're.
F1 game I would have played would have been like 22, 21. They probably didn't
Mhm.
have this then.
So 2021 was the last year of the previous regulations, and then in 2022 this regulations package came in with the ground
Got
effect
it.
stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah, you'd be exactly right on that.
Yeah, because I remember
Um,
they had this DCS thing where you could
yep,
then there was like a small electric motor, something like that.
yep,
But,
yep. And now they are hybrid cars top to bottom. So they still do have you have to do a lot of battery management in the race with charging it through the braking and then deploying as like kind of a defensive tactic if
yeah, that
someone's
was how
drafting
you
off.
used it. Yeah.
Yep.
I like
Uh,
always, well, I haven't bought those games in a while, but I used to buy them every year and I would just like
mhm.
come out the pit and then just spin around because I can't even, I couldn't even go straight.
There's a good thing on Top Gear where if anyone listening is familiar with Top Gear, Richard Hammond
I
got to
watched
drive
all
an
the Top
F1
Gears.
car
Yeah.
once.
Yeah.
And he kind of had a thing where it was like it took him half the day just to get it started, and then he crashed or spun out in like the first turn because then they're like you need to go faster. Like it has to go fast to get enough air on it to work. So unless you're like a total commitment F1 driver who just throws it into the turns, the car won't function. It won't turn. It'll just turn off because the computers will be like, we're not going fast enough. Goodbye.
Oh
And
my
so he had
God.
to like relearn how to drive one. They're very intense pieces of machinery. But that's
Yeah, I
real
mean the
quick.
games are so hard, and they have all these training
Uh,
modes where they like try to
yep,
teach you, but once you
yep.
turn
I have a
off, it's
full
so hard.
I have a full sim rig that I have at home now for racing
Oh,
F1
fantastic!
games, and I still am not very good.
Yeah,
But
I mean the best I ever had was a wheel. Yeah. Oh,
Alfa
here.
Romeo is now Kick Stake F1, and then Audi bought them, and so next year the Sauber team becomes Audi F1.
Oh,
So that team should come up
interesting. Yeah,
quickly.
Audi has money for sure.
Mhm.
Here's another
Sorry, it's real
F2.
quick. We had
Oh yeah.
that special one was Daniel Ricciardo, who doesn't race in F1 anymore, but is an incredibly well liked figure. He's Australian, and was known as the Honey Badger because he's like you don't mess with the Honey Badger, right?
Of
He's like
course.
everyone's best friend, but then on the track an absolute killer. And
Interesting.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's really good. He was Max Verstappen's teammate when he came in, and then kind of bounced around for a while after
That
that.
makes sense. These are McLaren
Mhm.
colors, I think. So
And then Lance Stroll was the other one we saw
we
there.
had Lance here. That he's
Yeah. His
Aston Martin.
dad is Lawrence Stroll, who is a Canadian shipping magnate. And
Of
Lawrence
course.
Stroll bought a beleaguered F1 team called Force India, which was owned by an Indian billionaire
Okay.
who got caught for embezzling money.
It's a
to
popular
run his
thing for
F1 team.
billionaires to get into, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Racing only exists because rich people like it, basically.
sure.
So Lawrence bought that team and turned it into Aston Martin because he owns a chunk of Aston Martin in real life, and put his son in the car, basically.
Love it. I mean, I
uh,
don't, but I get
Lance is
I get
not
it.
very good,
And then
but
here's Yuki again. All right,
yeah, sure.
so there's good for paper. I'm
Hmm.
thinking, yeah, why don't we let's move in then to these chromes, but let me get some of these off the table. So these
Yeah.
packs I have had since before I started the YouTube channel,
Oh wow. Okay.
right? So they are over 2 years old. I remember walking into Burbank Sports Cars, which is this huge card shop in Los Angeles, and I was just like, I want to get some F1 cards, and I thought I would get a whole box. And then they're like, well, the box is, $400. And I was like, oh my God, no. Well, can I get a pack? And they're like, the packs are $20. And so I paid $20 for each of these packs because I that's all the money I had on that day or whatever. I was like, okay, give me two packs then. And I just
Wow.
kept them. And I've had them,
All
they've been
right.
sitting right next to me for over 2 years as I filmed all these videos, waiting for today.
Waiting for someone to come along who
Yes. And so we're going to
had it
open
on.
these and we're going to
All
see
right.
what I didn't get for my $20.
This is
Finally.
10 Lance Strolls. All
And
right, starting with
great
a
start, right?
showstopper. It's just
Love it.
poor Joe.
I'm sorry. I mean,
Uh,
I am actually sorry because it sounded like COVID
uh,
took it away.
yeah, really took the wind out of his sails.
I didn't think they were
Lewis,
allowed to
yeah,
have hair.
he does a lot of things that they're not supposed to do, and just and pays like he has a rainbow helmet because he's very
Oh,
LGBTQ,
sure.
and
That's
so
kind of
like
nice. Yeah.
when they race in Saudi Arabia, they're like, you can't use that helmet, and he's like, make me, and just wears it anyways, and things like that. So
Awesome.
he's Lewis Hamilton is an exceptionally cool guy. I don't like him as a race car driver, but he's probably like socially one of the most important people to ever drive a car,
Just
like
for all the
globally.
things he does off the track and around the
Yeah,
track.
and
Yeah.
just he also is not he didn't come from any money. His dad like mortgaged their house to buy him a go-kart, and
I've read that
um
story before too. Yeah, of how that all
yeah,
started.
his
Yeah.
it's pretty crazy, and so he really is like a very shining example of what you can do with just like pure talent
Yeah.
and like a
Oh.
free squid attitude. Nicholas Latifi,
Yeah, sorry.
Nicholas
I was just
Latifi,
marveling at the car picture. Like that's a really good
yeah,
picture. Oh,
good looking Williams there. He is one of the worst drivers of the last 20 years. You could
beautiful.
probably say
Beautiful.
that's just
Yeah,
he
here we go.
is
Wins 000, podium zero
uh,
zero zero
uh,
point zero seven. Seven is a lot of points, or
that's very small amount of points.
that's not a good number
That's
of
not very,
points. Okay.
no.
That's okay.
Yeah,
I'm
like a
just
world
kidding.
champion would have like 300 at the end of a season, for
Nice.
example.
This one's probably worth, well, I mean, it's probably not worth $20, but it's probably worth something.
Yeah, it's a good
Yeah,
looking card.
good picture, yeah.
Um, yeah, Nicholas Latifi's another Canadian, very rich
Oh,
family, and they kind of
yeah.
bought him a ride,
Why's
and
it gotta be Canadians?
he crashed a lot. Famously, one time at Suzuka, you've probably raced that in like Gran Turismo and Forza.
Yeah, I didn't
Suzuka is
know
a
that was a
Japanese
real
track with.
track. I thought that
Oh
was like
yeah,
Maple Valley and just fake one.
that's a very famous Japanese racetrack, and there's a very famous corner called 130R at the end of it, which is just the radius of the turn. But
I
it
don't have a memory, but
after
man, you played a lot of Gran Turismo. I know, like way more than I did. But
oh,
when four came out, I played hundreds of hours of that. I had like all those
hundreds, yeah.
tracks memorized. Like I knew
Hmm.
them so well.
I did like actual 24-hour races in
I
that
remember
game.
because okay, there was
um,
this movie, Gran Turismo movie, right? Not the
yep,
best movie,
yep.
but I remember
Not the best
when
movie, but
no, they were not the worst, but it wasn't the best.
no, it was fine.
But yeah,
Yeah,
but I remember when they would go on some of those tracks and they would go through those corners, I'd just be like, I know that corner. I'd just be like shouting, and
yeah,
Mage would be like,
yep,
shut up.
yep. There's an F1 movie coming out this summer with Mr. Brad Pitt.
That's true.
So
I
yeah.
can't wait for that either.
Um,
Yeah.
but Nicholas, sorry, just says
It's
this is a
not an
funny story.
arm. I
So
think Apple made that movie too. Right.
they did,
Yeah,
yeah.
we made that. Yeah, I was gonna say.
I think Tim Cook is waving the flag at the race that they're premiering the movie at, I want to say, but
Amazing.
he went around 130R, and then right after that, there's a chicane, a break
Hmm.
90-degree corner, break
Yeah,
90
yeah,
degree
the ones
corner.
I crash on
Uh,
every time. Yeah,
yeah,
you
yep,
never
the hard
you.
ones.
How do you do them? Like, what are you supposed to do?
Uh,
I just skid
yeah, it's like
around. Like, you don't.
maximum attack. It's the total commitment. That's what they usually
But you
say.
have
So
to brake so
he
hard. Anyway,
Oh yeah, those are all about like F1 cars don't you can't brake and turn at the same time, generally speaking. So it's really all about getting it slowed down and then getting
and
through the
then
apex of the
whipping
turn
it
as
around. You have to like
fast as
whip
humanly.
the
Yeah,
thing around and then zoom again.
like they'll put a G-force tracker up in races a lot of the time. And you can see like your average driver is taking like can take like 5 to 6 G loads
I
on
wouldn't
the
doubt it. Yeah, I wouldn't doubt that at all.
They're
Yeah.
in they're in Spain this weekend, and at the last corner of that track, I think they said like the equivalent of their entire body weight is being supported by just their neck muscles through a couple of the turns on
But
the
if you,
track.
I mean,
But
you've obviously know, but their helmets also have like a big neck brace and shoulder thing built
yeah,
into it,
I
right?
mean, look at
Yeah.
Fernando Alonso, who's an F1 driver. He has this trick he'll show where he can crack a walnut with his neck, like between his neck and his shoulder. That's how strong their neck muscles are. They have to
I
be.
mean, you would
Uh,
to take that kind of force for sure. I don't
Yeah,
know. This is,
Nicholas, as he went to the braking zone for the chicane after 130R at Suzuka, and then he just drove into like off the track,
oh, that's not
uh,
good.
and and then he came on his radio. He's like, I don't know what happened there, and it's like you got lost. He forgot where that turn was, and he just
Well, I
drove
mean,
off
it's
the
going by
track.
really fast.
Nicholas. Sorry. Anyways,
No, it's fine. It's a good story. We got
more
another. I,
Lewis
I guess Lewis
Hamiltons.
Hamilton very popular, I suppose.
Yes, and more Nicholas Latifis. This is the Hamilton Latifi pack
Well,
here.
remember, I paid $20 for these, so I should get only the best. Only the best.
It's funny
He looks great.
you're getting the best and the worst. Like it's feast or famine really here. It's pretty much just Lewis Hamilton or Zhou Guanyu or Nicholas
Or
Latifi.
oh, this is another. Well, he doesn't look like a driver, so he must be a principal of
Oh
some
wow,
kind,
Yas
right?
Capito. He was the team principal at Williams for one season, half a
Half
season.
a season.
That didn't
Okay.
last very long.
Well, he got more points than the other guy, 23.
Yeah, I mean, Williams is a very famous F1 team. They haven't been good for a long time, and a venture capital firm called Dorrington bought them recently and started pumping more money into the team. And Yost was kind of the bridge point between that and where they are now, which is they're on the ascendancy. They're doing much better. They're my team, if I support any one of them. But
Sure.
he's a really famous rally car driver, and
Oh,
they
actually,
kind
with
of
that name, I wouldn't doubt it. Yeah.
yeah, yep. And so he just, I don't know. It just being a good rally driver doesn't necessarily make you a good F1 team principal. I
No, it's a
think is kind
totally
of
different. Like I still play rally games all the time. I actually play
yeah.
all the WRC. Like they make
Mm.
these really hardcore ones. I like
I
that
have
kind
some
of
bad news
racing.
for you.
What?
EA bought Codemasters, and they said they don't get to make any more rally games. And I think the
But
rumor is within
WRC
the next.
makes their own, don't they? It's like a whole
They
separate.
do, yep.
Yeah.
So that one will continue.
But the Dirt
And then I
series or whatever might end, right?
yeah, Colin McRae, which became Dirt, is
Yeah, like
that's
I always
gone.
loved the Dirt series, but it always
Hmm.
once I started playing the WRC ones, it got
Yeah.
you go back and it feels so arcadey.
Yes, Dirt was very arcadey for sure.
Yeah, I always thought it was like when I was playing that I was like, oh, I'm a big time rally driver. But now that I'm doing the WRC ones, I'm like, I know nothing at all. I don't know
Yeah.
anything about rally driving.
Rally is insane. Like I love all forms of racing and I'll watch pretty much anything and of everything that I watch, I think rally drivers are literal crazy
Oh
people.
yeah, they're like
I
suicidal.
cannot wrap
Yeah,
my head around how
no,
they do that at the speed at which they do it and the like casualness with which they do
that's
it.
the other thing is they're
It's
just sitting there like
nuts.
left three, right hard, and they're
Yeah,
just
I
like
know. Just
almost dying at every corner.
yeah, like flipping over upside down and just like, okay, yep,
All
nope.
right, so we are running out of time again. So what we're gonna do is
Yeah,
reset this Zoom, and then we're gonna come back. And it's only been an hour, so like really, we're kind of right on schedule for where we should be
perfect.
for doing the
Great.
wrestling cards. And then we're
Excellent.
gonna go through these, and you're gonna have to. I have so many questions. I have so many questions.
Cody Rhodes, yeah.
No, no.
Yeah.
Let's pause, and I will ask my terrible questions. Okay, I'm gonna
You
pause.
got it. Let's do